Country Crossover and Mackenzie Porter, and these days on Easy Rock. Good morning, Sean here. It is 8:40 time for your Revelstoke Mayor Report with Gary Sulz. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning, Sean.
How are you?
I'm good. You?
Oh, well, I'm not the mayor, so I'm excellent.
Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Appreciate
No problem.
that comment.
Hey, smart A comments are welcomed here on Easy Rock. So, Gary, I got a couple of questions for you, not being too crazy, but you got a list of things. So what do we want to touch base with first?
Well, let's do the questions.
Okay. So we'll just get into a little bit about the roads discussion that was popping up on social media. Now, I'm gonna say something, and I want you to tell me if I'm wrong or kind of wrong or just a full-blown idiot. So just let's go with that.
Okay.
I could have said right.
Can I answer now?
Yeah. So, for example, if our community and our community neighborhoods, will go with mine, so Columbia Park and let's say Arrow Heights, a sidewalk towards the schools, which is the most logical discussion around safety for kids, or anybody for that matter, but you get the point. If we were to say build sidewalks up Perks, down Colbeck, and up Nickel by the school, not on the other side, and it was to be on our time and dime,
right,
it would be that the Columbia Park neighborhood collectively would cover the cost of that and any other excess maintenance, like Thomas Brook or the Big Eddy Water. It would be our project, our cost, and it's possible, but it's an expensive cost.
Yeah, the cost would be if the community wanted it and said, absolutely, we're willing to pay for it. You pay for the infrastructure. You pay for that. I don't believe a local service area agreement will be covering the maintenance, but it'll definitely be covering the building of it. So if it was $1 million split amongst everybody over a 20-year period, you'd pay X number of dollars on your tax bill.
Okay.
That sort of thing. That's kind of how it's done. And then we look at it from the other perspective, the safety requirements. So there was a safety audit. I'm not sure where that safety audit is finalized at that sort of thing. And look at that. Years ago when that school was put in, the neighborhood didn't want sidewalks. They wanted to have their property right, their grass right up to the road sort of thing. So
it's all turned to mud anyway.
Yeah. Well, so now we have to look at it from a different perspective, right?
Okay. So that was a topic that had come up in our community board, and nothing controversial. It's come up before, but
right.
There's just more traffic, more cars going up, not just in that neighborhood, all of them, but so therefore there's more kids on the road, and we've talked about this Halloween and in general. Kids are walking, and they walk kind of, they're all good, but generally they can still get not paying attention completely.
Well, and that's the case. Even, in our neighborhood, you see the kids walking down the street and there's sidewalks for them sort of thing. And it just becomes, okay, what's going to be safe and what do they want to do and why are they doing that? And kids are kids. They're doing what they need to do. So we all need to be prudent when we drive to make sure that we keep everybody safe.
Okay. And we did talk last week, or the week before I was off last week, we did talk about taxation and about rental, and that we don't have a real solid way to track, gauge, and bill those that are renting out per room and offsetting some of those taxation problems. Because each year we keep seeing an increase to you, to me, to the neighbors, and it's just going to steadily go that way. And is there any true legal way to find a better route to our constant desire to increase our taxes?
Well, I think if we're talking about vacation rentals, we're waiting for, a little more information coming from development planning, but they've started that process and have given us some basics as to what they're doing. We may be dealing with this thing through licensing. So the license, you pay X number of dollars for a license fee and then go forward there. But there's some rules and regulations. You can't park on the street. You have to have your parking off. And that's kind of what it is now. You should be parking your people who are in vacation rentals off the street, not utilizing the street, so that we have room for the residents, but also we're not moving cars when we do snow removal. So that's kind of what we're looking at. A couple of councillors have talked to the provincial government or BC Assessment and said, hey, we need a category for assessing these vacation rentals, and there should be a separate category for taxation. BC Assessment's not going down that route at this point.
Okay. And we know that we're going to do an election in January. Is it open now to put your name in if you want to run for council?
No, it is
Oh.
not. So there's some things that are coming up, and we need to pick the chief elections officer. So we hope to be doing that soon, and then things will the formal process will be dealt with, and then an announcement will come out as to when things are going forward and how they're going forward.
Okay, like I just want to know the dates so that I can put Don Hawker's name in and just surprise him as a gift. Congratulations, you'll win by like default because you're the Hawk.
There we go. So once we pick that chief elections officer, then the announcements will be made, and we'll move forward with that.
Okay, now what do you got on your cheat sheet?
So just a couple things. I want to get into the COVID thing, but we'll do that in a minute. What I want to highlight this morning is Dennis Berarducci's work with the Hockey Hall of Fame. So the Hockey Hall of Fame, or BC's Hockey Hall of Fame, is in Penticton. So Revelstoke now has a couple displays in that Hockey Hall of Fame. So there's been some donations made and jerseys hung, that sort of thing. So I just want to thank Dennis for that work, but also note that Revelstoke is important to hockey here in the province of BC. And so we've got this section that's kind of denoting some of our history here in Revelstoke, but that's at the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Well, very cool. And that doesn't surprise me at all. And we should be in the Hall of Fame. And I think it was for the Selkirks. I think it was recognized as some of the teams of the past here. So
yeah.
Very cool.
Good. And now we want to talk about the things that are going on in the community just regarding COVID. So we've heard some things about COVID and that it's here in the community. And the message that I've been touting since March is imagine it's here anyway, so deal with it prudently. So as of yesterday, the provincial health officer, Dr. Bonnie Henry, made masks mandatory in all public areas. So if you're in a grocery store, if you're in any office, you need to have a mask on unless you're sitting at your desk. So if you're getting up to move, you have to put your mask on. You're getting up to go to a public area, you have to have a mask on.
You know what's amazing about this is that the kids, the schools are doing so well because they've been doing that.
Yeah.
And I did talk to, I got an email from Principal Pfeiffer, and he said things have been going very well at the school. The kids they're good little, they're good worker bees. They get it, they know it, they understand it, and they're doing their part. The kids are easy. It's us adults that we need to. Yeah,
and that's exactly it. So just one of the things, I want to touch on but one of the comments made by Dr. Teresa Tam, think about the choices you're making carefully because lives actually depend on it. Is your travel essential? Do you need to go out today? And can you reduce your shopping time? So just want people to think about that. But also rapid growth is occurring in several provinces because each new case in Canada is spreading the infection to more than one other person. So we're always thinking that, just one person's going to catch it because they've been around someone. Probably that's going to extend out. And we've seen that sort of thing. So the current order with the masks, etc., is until midnight, December 7th. And so when we're talking about masks in public indoor settings, workplaces, customers can be refused entry or service if they're not wearing a mask. So if you're going into a business, make sure you have your mask. If you're moving around your office or you're in a shared work area, use your mask. But what happens when you go into a pub or you go into a restaurant? So if you're going in, you're coming out, make sure you have your mask on. You can remove your mask to eat or drink. There was something on social media that said the city had said, no, you have to pull your mask down to take a drink. No, take it off. You don't want to contaminate your mask. So I want to make sure that's clear. You can't get up and move between tables in the pub to BS with your friends. You have to put your mask on. You're not allowed to do those sorts of things. And the proprietors will watch for that. If you get up to order a drink, if you get up to go to the washroom, put your mask on. When you get back to your table, you take your mask off. Seems like a simplistic thing, but I want people to be aware of that. We're not allowed social gatherings of any size with anyone other than our own household. And so, who's to know that? But we want to say to people, be prudent, manage your own thing. But I want to talk about interior health and what's going on here. So there's been a surge for demand for testing. Previous hours for the testing center was 9:30 to 11:30 a.m., 7 days a week. Currently, that's been extended from 9:30 a.m. to 2:45 p.m., 7 days a week. It is by appointment only. You can either book online or call the number. It's 1-877-740-7747. There is no drop-ins. So if needed, IHA will ramp up further testing, and there is still a fairly quick turnaround on testing. So I was tested in the spring. It took 30 hours from the time of test till the time I got my results. So what people need to know is once you test, you must consider yourself positive until you receive results otherwise. So go home and self-quarantine from the time you test till the time you get the results back. And the Center for Disease Control are the people that are doing the contract tracing, and they'll notify others when it's required. So I just want people to be aware of those things. We know it's here in our community. We assumed it was before. Go about your business. Just be safe. Masks, wash your hands. Physical distancing is the biggest thing. If people can do that, if they can't, then put their mask on and do what you can to be safe. We talk about travel. So I've had some emails, people coming in going like, hey, can I come from out of province? Right now, BC health officers saying, unless your travel's essential, don't be coming. And so
that was the next thing, and we are going to get into that just after the break.
All right.
Good morning. In the studio with me is morning show host Gary Sulz, along with Mayor Aquiline. How are you doing?
Good. I like that.
You're welcome. Okay. So let's talk about tourism and the invitation to those out of market. Now, we spend a lot of our money and dollars and time plugging for those to come play, and now we're going, okay, well, we can't. The concern is we have no non-essential travel, which even means she did indicate like grandparents can pick kids up and drop them off, but not allowed in the home. Yep. Good thing Dad's here right now doing that exact thing. But the reality is that if people, say from Kelowna, Kamloops, surrounding areas want to come up when the ski hill does open to ski, there's no really way to police that. That's a concern people have. Non-essential travel from Alberta, again, it's hard to police that. But what are we going to do? Because there's bound to be a concern with that.
Well, there's very much a concern with that. And we go back to, we at City Hall are not in a position to say to people, don't come, because the government hasn't stated that, and we don't have any powers over them.
Right.
So people who do come, we want them to follow the same rules that we're doing. But we're saying, follow the rules of the provincial health officer, stay in your area. And so that affects every one of us. We have family. I have family that are in Vernon. I spoke to them last night. Stay home. We want to make sure that everybody's safe. Are we going to have people come? Yeah, we're going to have them come. Are we happy about that from a safety perspective? Well, we have concerns about that. Are we still going to treat them with respect and care? Of course we are. That's who we are here in Revelstoke. So we look at that sort of thing and say, okay, we know that they're going to come. How are they going to be treated? But more importantly, how are they going to be safe? So we expect them to come. If they're sick, we don't want them here. That's simple. But if they're coming, then they need to follow the same protocol. We don't have the ability to say, hey, you're coming from the interior of BC and you're coming to Revelstoke, now you need to quarantine. That's not within our mandate.
I mean, this just came out yesterday, so right. I'm assuming by next week, potentially you'll have had a chat with RMR. I expect that they'll probably have some sort of press release about this new rule and possible new protocols, because we know what the first day's like. It's like a crazy lineup it wouldn't be very good. So I'm sure they have protocols in place, but
yeah,
you'll have to try it with them.
I'll have a conversation with them as to how they're able to manage things, and they've been very good about making sure they have protocols in place for making sure everything's clean and numbers and that sort of thing. So I don't expect that to change. They're very good about that. So we'll have a conversation with that. This order, as I mentioned, to December 7th, I'm expecting that to change, that to be extended.
Oh, for sure. Look at Manitoba. They're cracking the whip so hard.
Yeah. And so we want to make sure that we keep everybody safe so we don't go back to what we experienced in March where everything's shut down. We need to have people working. We need to have their businesses operated. Schools are doing fine. We need to keep them open. And we need to keep everybody safe. So this is incumbent upon everyone in the community to make sure that they do what they can to follow the rules. And when people come in, we expect them to do the same thing. So I know that the chamber has kind of put their advertising outside the community on pause. I've read on social media and in the newspaper that definitely RMR has done the same sort of thing. We know that people will still come. Everyone wants to be the first ones on the hill and go from there, and we want to make sure that they're safe. It's up to RMR to make sure that they look at whatever they can, and they've been very diligent about making sure that what they do works.
Okay, great. Well, we'll check in with you next week. I'm sure you'll have more details on it.
All right. Good enough, Sean. Thanks.